welcome to another episode of 161st and River. And today we are going to be getting into some of the beginnings of what has happened so far in spring training. Obviously, specifically, we'll talk here about Yankee spring training, but spring trainings all across Major League Baseball have officially opened up, and pitchers and catchers have begun to work out. For the Yankees, they have had a lot of position players in Tampa already, and that's where I guess we can start. While I finish getting up the graphics here. Since Judge has taken over, wait, how do I? Oh, off. Okay. Since Judge has taken over as the Yankee captain, it's been very noticeable that a lot of players have decided to head down to Tampa much earlier than they have to report. Judge lives in Tampa, so it helps because he's so close in Tampa. So he's there. He works out at Himes, which is the complex across the street from where George M. Steinbrenner Field is. That's where the minor league fields are. Um, so that's where he works out. And Judge is a fantastic role model. And it's fantastic that Judge does this sort of stuff and allows people, come and exercise with him and all this sort of stuff. Okay. This is from the Yankees. Interesting. The Paul Goldschmidt's deal was just made official. Deal official. Clark to 60-day IL. Interesting that Cole is not on the 60-day post. We'll get into that more in a minute, but that just solidified one of the thoughts that I've had all spring training, or really since Boone spoke yesterday, and pretty much said that um, Cole might be getting into some action in the spring, and let's get into this. So we will start with the Boone updates from yesterday. You guys, I believe, can put stuff in the chat. Um, so Boone met the media yesterday for the first time in spring training, and I have to say, he didn't say anything like bad this time. Like there was pretty much nothing notable. So I have my notes on the side here that I'm gonna bring up in just a second. But there was nothing like too notable from Boone, which is like a really good thing because that's something that I had been very worried about heading into spring training. Was that the Yankees? It seems like every team in baseball was going through injury. It might just be the way I felt it could totally be, but it felt like every team in Major League getting injuries heading. If the Yankees have to go through one of these injuries, who's going to come into spring training with an injury say no news is good news when it comes to this team. And that's always. If there is no news, that is good news. And there wasn't news yesterday from Boone. Okay, yesterday he mentioned that as far as he knew, there were no new injuries. Players were still undergoing their physicals, but nothing to report. I'm like, okay, that's great. Because like in years past it'd be like Luis Heel comes into camp and is hurt. And it's like, well, what the hell is this? And other years, who was it? Thairo Estrada got shot in the off season and no one knew about it and came to spring training. It's like, yeah, he's like, he got shot. It's like, well, whoa. There was nothing about that. Hold on. Talking some Yanks. Just want to get the YouTube link on socials. Push. Okay. So that was great. Rodon, he said, is not off from the start of the regular season. That's great. Because the Yankees need as much pitching depth as humanly possible, especially at the front of the year. Excuse me. Then Boone took it a step further and then was asked about Garrett Cole. And he interestingly said that Garrett Cole could make some spring starts at the end of spring training. It's like, whoa. He went out during last year's spring training with Tommy John. We didn't think we'd see him for a hot minute, and we haven't. He missed all of last season, and he will probably start. He'll start the season definitely on the IL. That's done. But to get him back before the end of May, we were expecting June 1. Getting him back anytime before June 1st is like found money. I mean, it's a found pitcher, essentially. The Yankees need that. If the Yankees can get him back. Now, they're not going to rush him. Now, while we got on here, I'm just going to plug this in behind me. We got on here a few minutes ago. And as soon as we signed on, the Yankees officially re-signed Paul Goldschmidt, which is great. Goldie coming back. You love it because you love the veteran presence. He was great in the clubhouse. He was great with Ben Rice at first base. That's great for the Yankees. Notably, they put Clarke Schmidt on the 60-day injured list. Now, Clarke, who we saw, I think he was doing something yesterday. He is not going to see the big league field till probably August, September. Like what he got was like the abridged Tommy John. Like that's kind of serious. But even so, the fact that Cole wasn't the candidate to go on the 60-day and it was Clarke, that's a win. That's a big, big win. Boone was also asked about about Giancarlo Stanton, and was pretty much, he was asked, "Is Stanton healthy? What's it looking like with Stanton health wise coming into spring training?" Boone said he's had a good winter. He should be on track to have a full spring training. Boone said that they'll slow play him into spring training as he normally does, but nothing too major this spring training. He said Volpe will begin to swing a bat within the next 2 weeks. Rice could see more catching time with Goldschmidt back in the mix. I don't know if that was just Boone fluff. That's how I interpreted it. I could be wrong. I wrote a full-fledged story on the Boone updates. In here, I do have some quotes. This is the Cole quote. I think he's scheduled to begin live in a couple of weeks, said Boone, and then could potentially even get into some game action at the end of spring. We'll see how it all shakes out and if we want to do that or not. Okay, well, he was throwing today. He has a full beard, and that was very exciting and encouraging. Then he added about Rodon. He's probably not far behind the start of the season. That's great. I said the Volpe thing. Jose Caballero was working out at shortstop yesterday. I originally had him and Jazz as the thumbnail for this, and I'm like, the title is pitchers and catchers. Like, let's not derive from that. Let's just stick with the pitchers and catchers. And so I put Cam and Ben on the cover, and we'll get to Schlittler in just a second. But like I said, Boone welcomed Goldschmidt back. I'm thrilled to have him back. I mean, just one of the best people I've had the chance to manage in my career. Obviously, what he did against left-handed pitching last year, that's something that he spoke a little bit about some guys that he would like to see more out of or thinks highly of. The first was Austin Wells. I think he's really established himself as a good defensive catcher in this league, which I think is a good thing. That kind of caught us off guard a little bit, maybe a couple years ago when he emerged. Like, the defense is way better than we thought. We thought the offense was going to be the thing, the carrying thing. Well, he's done some good things offensively. 20 home runs again last year for your catcher, and I think when you take his defensive ability and what he's done offensively, you sign up for that with your catcher. That being said, I expect more out of Austin Wells. I think there's more in the tank. There should be more in the tank. He knows that. So hopefully him and some others, we can find more consistency offensively, because we don't really think that he could be a frontline, because we still really think he could be a frontline offensive catcher as well. But we got to keep getting there. So I found that as like, okay, like, you believe in this kid. All right, so do I. I think Ben Rice has the ability to be one of the top 5 catchers in this league. I think Austin Wells is that good. He's got to button it up a little bit. The base running's got to get better. The stupid mistakes have to get better. He's going to get better defensively. He's already shown leaps and bounds. He's got to do it offensively. That's the step. It's offensively. If he can't do this offensively, then what are we doing here? So I think offensively is where we've got to work. Then he spoke about Camilo Doval, and the bullpen in general. So for those of us, I do say us because I include myself in that think that this bullpen isn't fantastic heading into the year. Well, Aaron Boone has a rebuttal to that. I think the bullpen has a chance to be a strength, Boone said. And again, I think it's because our overall pitching depth that I really like. And so that may mean a reliever or starter having to collapse, and maybe someone nobody's writing about at this point, usually, especially in the bullpen, emerges in the league. He said Camilo's had a really good winter, kind of getting ready for the World Baseball Classic, and we've really had good communications with him throughout the winter. And one of those players that came over at the deadline that I think brings us being here now, and you're building that relationship, hopefully is something that serves him well. He also mentioned that the last time Doval and Bednar pitched in the World Baseball Classic, I just reposted that story on X. The next time they play in the World Baseball. Apparently, the last time these two played in the World Baseball Classic, it went like they had their best seasons of their careers. So I'm hoping that stays a thing. but we'll see. The next thing on the agenda. So that was all the day one updates from Aaron Boone. Then today, Cam Schlittler. Aaron Boone announced that Cam Schlittler will pause throwing off a mound due to mid-back inflammation. He felt a tweak recently. He will still stay active throwing on flat ground. Let me get the Boone quote here. Just something we're trying to stay ahead of. He said, called the injury minor. Test came back negative. Schlittler said that there's zero concerns. He said that he's been dealing with it for a little bit and just wanted to make sure he's on top of it and is ready for opening day in San Fran. Then Schlittler took to X, which he did yesterday as well. He loves social media, it seems. Him and Jazz are like very big social media people. And he decided that on X, he's going to post an injury update for himself. And made sure to note that it was his left lat, not his right lat, so his non-throwing side. He's not concerned at all. The left lat goes to the middle of your back, just clarifying that it's my left side, Chad. Because he wants to make sure everyone knows he's healthy and, is not BSing us. I think it's great that he's seemingly fine. It's also a lat injury. It's the first week of spring training. If it was something significant that he's been dealing with for a while, Boone probably would have said something yesterday. Boone didn't. I don't read into this too much. I do think there was definitely something with him. I don't think it's horrible, and I think the Yankees will be fine. What concerns me, and I wrote about it in the story that I was literally writing as the press conference was happening. What worries me about Schlittler is the fact that the Yankees can't afford to lose a starting pitcher breaking camp. Like Luis Gil was throwing today and looked actually fine. He hit 95 today, which is incredibly good for this time in spring training. They can't afford to lose a starting pitcher. They just can't afford to lose a starting pitcher. Like, I feel like starting pitching depth, once they're fully healthy, is a strength. They are vulnerable at the beginning of the season. The bullpen is the biggest weakness on this team, but they have guys. Right? This bullpen can be, those remember the 2019 Yankees fondly as I do. Until, Chapman. That was the next man up Yankees. Everyone was hurt that year. It was, Andujar, Torreyes making big impacts, Clint Frazier making an impact, Luke Voit making an impact. It was the next man up Yankees. Is that what this season's going to be with the bullpen, the next man up bullpen for the Yankees? It's setting up that way. The bullpen, to me, is the biggest concern this season. Now, I have a video here I'll pull up, if I can find it, of Cade Winquist throwing. And he looked not bad. Boone's high on him. Here. Boone seems to be high on this kid. He was throwing strikes, not that matters. It's spring training. but he looked solid today. And as of now, the bullpen, it's my biggest concern. It's going to be my biggest concern until they do something about it. Now, I heard that they are still looking. That doesn't mean they're going to get something done, but they're definitely still looking. The price of relievers, Michael Kopech right now. I'll give him as an example. He could be someone they have interest in. Danny Coulombe as well. They have interest in both. I could see Kopech more so taking like a 1 year, $2 million with an option, like the Luke Weaver deal from a few years ago. Same thing, Coulombe I think took something similar to that last year. You get one of those guys. They're an established, I guess veteran. They're established. They've done this before. Kopech's won a World Series before. Pitched against us in the World Series, if I recall. Pitched pretty good. Having a veteran with postseason experience in that bullpen is very important. Having a veteran period in your bullpen, to me, is imperative and important. And the more guys the Yankees can add to this bullpen. Now, I'm okay with going in with a Winquest, a Bird, who we haven't seen yet in spring training. We even saw Angel Xavi today. We haven't seen Jake Bird yet. Found that notable. I'm fine with going in with one, maybe two. You can't go in with a slew of question marks here. That's not how you win a championship. And that's going to be the question all year, is this team championship caliber. Robert Murray of Fanside went on Foul Territory today and said the team that he thinks needs to make the biggest splash, as of right now, at like the deadline or something, is the Yankees. Now, Robert's a great guy. Really great person. My rebuttal to that, right now, without injuries, without anything, without having played half a season, because let's be real, if there's any big addition to this team, it's going to be at the trade deadline. My rebuttal is, where exactly are we putting someone? Unless San Diego's completely out of it at the deadline and the bullpen's a concern, you go out and get Mason Miller. Or Seattle's out of it, you get Andres Munoz. Or reliever X is free because a team's bad. Let's say the Marlins end up selling at the deadline and the Yankees want to go out and get Pete Fairbanks. And I think that would be a big concern given the cold weather. And I've heard the medicals there aren't great. That's the one thing. Their starting pitching depth is so abundant. Like Elmer Rodriguez is projected to be better than Cam Schlittler. And we've seen what Cam Schlittler did. Does he replicate that? Who knows? I think he will, because I think he's got the stones and the wherewithal to do it. That's just me. But knowing that Elmer Rodriguez is projected to be as good, if not better than that, would be huge for this Yankee team, needing someone who can be as good, if not better than that. Carlos LaGrange, which is how you pronounce it. LaGrange. They put out like they're pronounced. It's that. So Carlos LaGrange, I think, projects better as a reliever. His stuff is nasty. If he impresses at spring training, why not bring him up? Let me see if he's on the 40-man, actually. That might answer my own question. I think Carlos LaGrange has the opportunity to be really, really good in this league. When Cashman talks about the quote-unquote young pups, then okay, so he's not on the 40-man, so that answers my question. When Cashman talks about the quote-unquote young pups in the rotation, they got some guys there that can make some noise. They got some guys there that could be really, really good. Yerry De Los Santos, I really like him. I like his stuff. We saw him last year. Ben Hess, I'm not Ben Hess. Brent Hedrick turned my head last offseason. He was really good. That's how an organization builds sustainability, by having guys they can bring up. Which, by the way, is something the Yankees went a long time without having. Offensively, I think this team will offensively be the best in the American League. Because, Aaron Judge is on the team. I think Cody Bellinger is going to be fine. I think if you have a full season, close enough to a full season, like if you have 130 games of Stanton, like that's significant. If he only misses 32 games this year, like, which is a month, having Giancarlo for 130 games is very significant. You have depth. If Stanton goes down, guess what? You have Jason Dominguez. Well, if Jason Dominguez comes up, he can be a guy. This isn't exactly, scrub number one that's down in AAA. Like, if we're going around the league right now, let's say the Red Sox, let's say Trevor Story goes injured up in Boston. They're fucked. They don't have someone else infield depth-wise that can go. I guess IKF. Because now they got Durbin. Well, I mean, we've seen the IKF experience, and let me address the IKF quotes for a second here. He's not wrong. Like, we all went into that series of like, well, the Blue Jays kicked the Yankees' ass all year, especially up at that building. They have home field advantage. Why wouldn't it be what it was? It was a complete loving for the 2 games up there. At home, it wasn't much better. So, yeah, the Blue Jays have, like the Dodgers did last year, they could talk shit. Now, IKF cost them the World Series. He'd hardly be the last person. And I don't think Boston this year's going to be great. I think Sonny Gray is not great. I think Crochet's great. I think Suarez can be had, as I've said on here. I don't think Sonny Gray is great. I especially don't think he's going to be great in that ballpark, in that market, because the first sign of a struggle for Sonny Gray, it's going to be like Yankee Sonny Gray all over again, where he's going to struggle and he's going to pout and he's going to suck. And Craig Breslow, if he's still there, will not be able to wait. Well, it's a 1-year contract to get rid of him. I don't love Boston. Toronto's hurt. It seems like they're slow playing Yimi Garcia. Bound Francis is out. Santander's out pretty much the season, so that's 2 out for the season. Not having what's his name to start the year, it seems, is a big issue. Toronto's gonna look and might struggle a bit out of the gate. I'm not saying they will. I'm also not praying on their downfall. But when you look around the American League East and you look at these teams in this division, the Yankees are right up there with the best in this division. I think the Yankees are as good, if not better, than the rest of the teams in this division. Looking right now back at that tweet. Oh, Shane Bieber. That's what it was. I couldn't remember his name. Shane Bieber, who took the option where he would have got much more on the market. Well, he took that option because if any team had seen his medicals, they would not have signed him for what he wanted. So they're calling it forearm fatigue. I'm calling it he's not starting the season. For sure. Forearm fatigue isn't good. The Yankees right now if they go in healthy, and we have six weeks from yesterday's opening day, so we are less than 6 weeks from opening day. If the Yankees go in relatively healthy, someone's going to get hurt. I don't think it's going to be Schlittler, but someone else is going to get hurt. A reliever, someone in the World Baseball Classic is going to get hurt because that's the Yankees and Boone's endorsed it. But going into the season, the Yankees should be the best team in the American League. And who says they can't win a championship? Like the whole talk, the Yankees aren't a championship caliber team because they don't have a leadoff hitter. Well, actually, they do. I don't think it should be Trent Grisham, but they have Ben Rice who can lead off. Cody Bellinger could lead off. Aaron Judge could lead off. That's what I would do. I would lead off Judge. If the bottom of the lineup starts doing stuff, I'd lead off Judge. That way, at least you get him extra plate appearances in games with potentially guys on base. And if a pitcher who stinks doesn't want to face him in the first inning, then they'll walk him, and then the rest of the lineup, can do their jobs. Problem with the Yankees is this is a one-man show. The Aaron Judge show. That's been the problem for years now. I meant to get to this. So Yankee Chat just commented on something, or Yankee Source, commented on something on my socials about the Yankees, about me saying that certain Yankees cannot challenge calls. The Yankees actually today had a meeting about the ABS. I'm going to adjust this. Hold on. And they met with Major League Baseball, I guess, was giving all these things today. That to all teams across the league about the ABS system. And the Yankees had a strategy meeting. And I retweeted Cuddy's tweet this morning, and I said, good, because certain people on this team cannot challenge. Anthony Volpe has no concept of the strike zone. He cannot challenge. Jazz has a concept of the strike zone. He just bitches too much. So he'll be able to challenge until he can. There's some other guys. Like Ryan McMahon can challenge. He has a very good concept of the strike zone. You guys might not think it because all you see is the 30% strikeout rate and be like, well, what the hell is that? Well, I'll tell you this. McMahon strikes out a lot more against left-handed pitching, and in Colorado, they didn't know how to do platoons. So he faced a lot of left-handed pitching. Well, guess what? Third base is a platoon this year. Amed Rosario is his platoon partner. And guess what? Putting Amed Rosario against left-handers and Ryan McMahon against right-handers is a strength. And guess what? Rosario is not afraid to fight somebody if it comes down to it. Ryan McMahon's a great guy. I'm not trying to disparage him. He has a good concept of the strike zone. Trent Grisham, great concept of the strike zone. Giancarlo and Judge, great concepts of the strike zone. Anthony Volpe does not. Josh Chisholm has an okay concept of the strike zone. Ben Rice, it remains to be determined. Austin Wells has a very bad concept of the strike zone. He should not be challenging on the offensive side. On the defensive side, he has a very good concept of that strike zone. Times are changing. Baseball's changing, and they're implementing this. The Yankees the Yankees definitely need to make sure they know who can and can't challenge. I am going to leave it there. I am going to thank you all for watching. Subscribe. Have a nice day. Boone and Cashman will both speak tomorrow to the media. That should be something. And we'll go from there. Thank you very much and have a good night. Let's go, Yankees.